Hi, and welcome to Ben's Voice Narrative. It is my first video of 2025, and I'm really excited and grateful to God for the privilege to be alive to once again appear on your screen. It's really a privilege I don't want to take for granted. So I want to say a big thank you to God and to you, my audience, my subscribers, and everyone who's been a part of this journey since I started in September of 2024. Thank you so much for the support. To my road, new, and soon-to-be subscribers, thank you so very much for being there for me, for subscribing to this channel, for sharing my content, and in fact, for giving me your watch time. I really appreciate you all. I pray that God continues to support you in every way that you want, even in this new year, in the name of Jesus. I pray that all of your aspirations, your desired expectations for this year will come true, will come to life. And for every way that you need God to step into the situation, I pray that you always see Him at all times in the name of Jesus. Thank you very much. So today, for the benefit of those who are just coming across my face for the first time, I am Benjamin Adebayo. But of course, people around me like to call me Prolific Ben. And if you're okay with that, you also might want to stick with it. Right. So what I do on this channel is to tell stories, didactic stories, by the way, that is stories that teach moral lessons, stories that we all need to learn from to build a better human society. And also, this is a channel where we get to teach and dissect linguistic concepts for everyday and classroom or examination usage, right? And so today's episode is from the playlist Ben's English Lab, because you know that Ben's English Lab is a playlist where I get to teach the English language, right? Where we get to dissect English language concepts. And today in this video, our focus is on two English language words. The first is been, and the other is been. So we have been and we have been. So the first been spelled as B-E-E-N. So the first word is spelled as B-E-E-N. B-E-E-N, been. While the second word is being, and that is spelled as B-E-I-N-G, being. Right. So why is this class so important? These are two words that people often use interchangeably, and noteworthy, it's linguistically impossible to use these two words interchangeably. Anytime you attempt to use these two words interchangeably, then we'll be committing what is called grammatical injustice. And if you're in the dark regarding what linguistic injustice is, you might want to visit one of my videos where I already taught that right on this playlist, Ben's English Lab. You find it right there. So let's move on. We have three objectives for this class, and the first being that we want to understand what these words are, been and being, in terms of what parts of speech they belong to. So our first objective for this class is to understand what these words are and the category they belong to in English parts of speech, right? And secondly, we will understand the lexical indicators that will inform when to use each of these words, been and being. Thirdly and finally, we'll be looking at practical exercise that informs the practical use or daily use of these two words in English language. So let's dive right into the lesson. To start with, remember that this lesson is on two English language words, namely been, B-E-E-N, B-E-E-N, been, and secondly, B-E-I-N-G, being, like you say, being, right? So firstly, you must understand that these two words belong to the part of speech known as the verb. And of course, you know what verbs are. And our focus in this class is not to dissect what verbs are, but just to let you know that these two words belong to a part of speech known as verbs. And of course, verbs are just action words, words that tell you the action that takes place in our sentence, right? And of course, there are different types of verbs, but these two words belong to a type of verb known, or a class of verbs known as auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are basically helping verbs, right? And we have two classes of auxiliary verbs. We have what is called the primary auxiliaries, and then we have what is called the modal or secondary auxiliaries, right? Now, but these two words belong to the class known as primary auxiliaries. Now, there are three breakdowns of primary auxiliaries. You have what is called the do form of the verb. You have what is called the have, H-A-V-E, have form of the verb. And then we have what is called Be form of the verb. Be, be. Now, out of these categories, the be, the do, and the have. So, our focus for today, the been and the being belong to a category of the auxiliary verb known as primary auxiliaries, right? And under the primary auxiliaries, these two verbs we're looking at today belong to the category known as the be form of the verb. And of course, we have 8 forms of the be form of the verb. So starting with the be itself, be. So we have be, we have been, we have been, we have is, we have was, we have are, we have were, we have So those are the 8 forms of the be forms of the verb. And of course, out of these 8 forms of the be form of the verb, we're looking at just the been and the being, right? So what is the being form of the verb? The been, B-E-E-N. Been is the participle form of the be form of the verb. Where will you be tomorrow? Be. Where will you be tomorrow? Now the participle form of that is been. Have you been to Lagos before? Have you been to a hospital? Have you been to the church? Have you been to the market today? So that is a question having been in its usage, right? So remember that been is a participle form of the be form of the verb. So that is the first thing you must understand about this verb. Okay, so how do we correctly use been? So there are words that must come to play before you get to use the word been in expression. There are 3 words you must see before you get to use been in expression. The first of the 3 words is have, H-A-V-E. The second is has, H-A-S, has. And the last one is H-A-D, had. And all of these 3 are the have form of the primary auxiliary verb. So, the only time you can use B-E-E-N in sentence or when you talk is only when you have any of the 3 words. Have, has, or H-A-D, had. Right. So you say, for example, you can say, I have been to London before. I have not been to London before. I have not been to the market today. I have been to the moon several times in my life. Or you say, she has been to the market today. Or you say, they had been there before we met them. So the words that must come to play before you get to use the word been in sentence or anytime that you talk is when you have H-A-V-E, have, H-A-S, has, or when you have had. All of these 3 words must be present before you have the word being appear in a sentence. So if you use any word contrary to any of the 3 words to reintroduce your being verb, then your expression will be linguistically wrong. Okay, now let's move on to the second part of the class, which is understanding how to use the being form of the verb, which is B-E-I-N-G. B-E-I-N-G, being. All right, so how do we use being in sentence? Being in sentence. So first of all, being is a continuous form of the be form of the verb. More like you have go, going, you have be, being, be, be, and then you have the continuous form ing added to it. So being is a continuous form of the be form of the verb. And of course, it's impossible to use being in place of been because these 2 are mutually exclusive. These 2 words are mutually exclusive. It means where one features, the other cannot feature there. They cannot feature in the same context, right? So, when do we use being in sentences? When do we use being when we talk? So, let me quickly remind you that those 3 words that must introduce being, B-E-E-N, the 3 words that we talked about, have, has, had, Those three words cannot introduce being, which is B-E-I-N-G. Now, the only words that can introduce being when we talk or write are is, is. She is being serious. She is being serious. The second word is are. We are being serious. We are being serious. Another word that can introduce being is was. She was being serious. She was being serious. He was being serious. Another word is were. Were. The past tense of are, W-E-R-E, were. So they were being serious. They were being serious. I am being serious. I am being serious. So these are the words that introduce being as a verb every time you speak or write in English language. And again, beyond that, another context in which you can have being as a form of verb is when we use it as gerunds. What are gerunds? Gerunds are continuous forms of verb. Gerunds are verbs with ing, but they are used as nouns. Okay, for example, singing. Singing is my hobby, right? Singing in that wise is a verb, but it's a verb that is used as a noun, and that's a gerund. Or sleeping in the morning is not my hobby. Sleeping in the morning isn't my hobby. Sleeping in that wise is a verb, but this verb is a gerund because it has been used as a noun. So similarly, we can use being, B-E-I-N-G, as a gerund. So for example, you can have something like, being aware of who you are is important to discovering yourself. So being aware of your environment is a crucial step to succeeding in life. Being unhappy or being negative all the time is unhealthy for anyone. So being unhappy, being serious, being too intelligent, or being too talkative isn't good for anyone. Being too talkative, not being talkative. Being talkative is not good for your health. So in that wise, you cannot use B-E-E-N before as a gerund. You can use B-E-E-N as a gerund to form a noun. Rather, you use B-E-I-N-G as a gerund in a context where you're talking about a noun. So being serious, being jealous, being recalcitrant, being talkative, being intelligent. This is another context in which you can have being used in sentences or in daily expressions. So quickly, let's have a recap of all that has been said in this class. First of all, pointed out that being is a participle form of be form of the verb, and that the only way you can use being in sentence or when you talk is when you have these three words: have, has, and had. These are the only words that you must see or mention before you have B-E-E-N in an expression or in a sentence, okay? And coming to the second word, which is being, B-E-I-N-G, the only words that come to play, or the only words that reintroduce this word B-E-I-N-G are is, are, were, was, or when you use the word itself as a gerund, being serious, being intelligent. So what I want you to take away from this video is that the only time you get to use the word B-E-E-N, which is the participle form of be, is when you have any of these three words: have, has, or H-A-D, had. And the only time you get to use being, which is B-E-I-N-G, in sentence or when you talk, is when you have any of the words his, I-S, was, W-A-S, W-E-R, were, or when you use the word itself as a gerund, being too talkative, being like a bicycle. So being like a bicycle attracts punishment. So with that, we've come to the end of today's lesson. But before you go, remember that as always, you have an exercise awaiting you at the end of this video. So make sure you attempt the questions and give your answer, perhaps even in the comment section. Let us know what you think of this video. I also want us to improve. Let us know right there in the comment section. If you found this video useful, please click on the like button and in fact, share it to everyone that you think wants to improve the way that they speak in the English language, or you have a student or you have a child or a candidate preparing for English examinations, or anyone in school, kindly share this video with them so that together we all can master the art of the English language and excel in our different endeavors. Thank you for watching to the very end. See you in the next video. God's blessings.